Good evening, everyone. On behalf of the Department of Computer Science and Engineering, I, Razia Begum, Assistant Professor, CSE Department, MJCET, warmly welcome our distinguished speaker, faculty members, students, and participants to today's webinar. We are delighted to have you join us for this insightful session. This webinar is organized under IIC activity of MJCET. This webinar aims to provide valuable knowledge, foster meaning discussion, and enhance our understanding of the economics of AI. As we navigate the AI-driven era, success will belong not merely to those who adopt artificial intelligence, but to those who harness it strategically. By enabling smarter pricing, lowering operational costs, and creating pathways for scalable growth, AI is reshaping the economics of business. The challenge before us is to balance innovation with responsibility, ensuring that the value created by AI translates into sustainable growth, broader accessibility, and meaningful impact for organizations and society alike. So, going on with the theme, I would like to invite Ms. Abha Dalmia, CEO, Cloudgin.AI and Senior Pricing Strategist, Adobe, USA. But before starting, let me introduce the speaker, Abha Dalmia. Abha Dalmia is the founder and Chief Executive Officer of Cloudgin.AI, a cloud financial intelligence platform based in Santa Clara, California, and Senior Pricing Strategist at Adobe, USA, where she has led pricing for Adobe's AI products, including Adobe Journey Optimizer and Real-Time CDP. Her career spans strategically, consulting at McKinsey and Company, technology investment banking at Morgan Stanley, and energy commodity trading in Singapore. A combination that gives her a rare vantage point across energy markets and the economics of artificial intelligence. She holds an MBA from Carnegie Mellon University's Tepper School of Business, where she graduated with a 4.0 GPA, and a BBA in Quantitative Finance from Singapore Management University. She writes and speaks internationally on AI monetization and cloud cost intelligence, and serves as a judge and mentor at technology competitions in the United States and India. We are eagerly looking forward to learning from your valuable knowledge, expertise, and experiences. I request you to kindly share your insights with us. The virtual floor is now yours, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Razia ma'am. Thank you, Razia ma'am and Tasneem ma'am, for this opportunity. So every company today wants to be an AI company, but the winners in AI will need to will need to master monetization from day one. So today, in the next 30 minutes, we will understand something most CEOs of AI startups are struggling to deal with. Why AI products are so easy to build and so hard to make profitable. And what I ask in return from all of you is to participate. I have a few questions in the presentation and would really appreciate if you type out answers in the chat. So before we begin, I was curious, how many of us here today has used at least one AI tool today? If you've used an AI tool, please press 1 on the chat. That's amazing. Almost everyone. And how many of are actually paying for the AI we're using? If you're actually paying for an AI tool, then press 2. Great. So that's the monetization right there in our chat. A lot of us are using AI, but only partially are we paying for it. So now we're going to discover what is going on. So most of us have learned business from the SaaS model, where marginal cost was zero or negligible. What is marginal cost? It's simply the cost of serving one extra customer. For example, let's take WhatsApp, a classic software. it was expensive to build, but now it doesn't cost Meta anything to like add an additional user or for us to send additional messages. However, in AI, it's very different. Every answer in AI consumes compute and it's real electricity. In SaaS, we saw gross margins of 80-90%. Adobe gross margins are always 90% plus. But only 5% of all the AI companies that were funded in 2025 are actually profitable. 95 of them are negative profit, and the 5% that are profitable, those are also in 50% margin range. So this is why pricing has become super important, because when we were pricing software in the SaaS era, we used to think about, okay, what are customers willing to pay? What are competitors charging? Because the cost was negligible. We never had to think about it. Now, when we price AI, cost is one of the most important discussions that happens at the meeting table. Okay, so in a quick one-word chat, what do you think is the single biggest cost item for an AI company? Is it data? Is it database? Is it compute? Is it network? I'm curious to know what you all think. You can write it in chat. What do you think is the largest component of cost for an AI company? Server and storage. Interesting. Yes, most people would think it's server, data, and storage, but it's actually compute. Compute is the one that's the most expensive part, and we'll go through it in the presentation. The reason pricing and costs have suddenly become so important is because obviously, like SaaS companies were running at 80% margins. The 5% of the companies which are profitable in AI are running at 52% margins. And this 52% is a lot closer to the 45% profit margins that hardware companies are in. So most of the hardware companies, tech hardware companies, are at 45% margin. So AI is operating closer to that level. Okay, so now every question that you're asking AI, it's costing some money. So how much money do you think one ChatGPT query costs? It basically costs nothing. Then you type A. It about a tenth of a paisa, you type B. A few cents or a few rupees, type C, or more than 50 rupees, type D. What is your guess? Anyone has guesses? You can type it in the chat. More than 50 rupees. Interesting. So the answer is actually C. Like one ChatGPT query costs only a few cents, but that is a lot more than like what a Google search costed. Google search costed like even 10 times lower than ChatGPT. I know it might seem like a small number, but when you think about the volume of questions and that ChatGPT is handling, it's handling billions of queries a day. Then it becomes a sizable amount of revenue. And the real reason why ChatGPT is like 10x more expensive than a Google search is because of electricity. GPUs consume 10 times the amount of electricity than that CPUs used to consume. Okay, so now what does the cost of an AI company actually look like? So if you look at this chart, you'll see that 40% of the cost is actually compute and inference cost. So this is the cost for training, but more important than training, it's inference. Inference is basically running the models and running the customer is the same as the cost of running the second customer. So that is where it's changing from SaaS. Data is the second largest cost, as you pointed out. And after that, it is like, model licensing, maintenance, compute. Whereas in the SaaS era, the biggest cost, like the cost of actually running and building the software was only 10% of the total cost. The rest of the cost companies used to spend on like getting more customers, on sales and marketing. So we see a huge difference now where like 40% of the cost is just going in like maintaining, building and running the models that AI companies are building. And this is the reason why cost has become such an important thing in today's society, in today's AI world. Okay, so what actually goes behind pricing one AI answer? We ask so many questions to GPT per day, but what goes behind answering one AI answer? So we are charged based on tokens, and what are tokens? It's just a set of characters. So for instance, 500 a 500 word answer can be roughly 700 tokens. So what we are being charged on is tokens, but how are tokens determined? Like how is the price of one token determined? It's based on GPUs. GPUs today are the most expensive real estate. So we had CPUs before, and now we have GPUs that NVIDIA builds, and which are like at 10x the compute power, but also at 10x the cost and 10x the electricity consumption. A H100 NVIDIA chip costs about as much as a luxury car, actually. And frontier models, like really good models, needs tens and thousands of it. So at some point when we started this journey in 2023-24, then GPUs had become like the bottleneck. And now the electricity to run those GPUs has become the bottleneck. There's a then the third thing is power and cooling. Obviously, there's a lot more power and cooling needed to run GPUs, which are 10 times more if are better at inference, 10x better at inference. But the real silent killer is actually inference. If today you take away anything, it's the cost of inference, the cost of compute. Inference basically means the cost of compute. Training cost is one time, but inference is the silent killer. It's a cost that grows with success. And in production, it's typically 80 to 90% of the lifetime compute spend. So when practitioners say that the cost problem lives in the inference layer, this is exactly what they mean. Now, let me take you one step deeper, because I know most of you are like engineers. So like, where can you like where inside inference does the cost lie? Like, what do I mean by inference? So when I talk about inference, whenever we ask a question on ChatGPT and we hit enter, then the model is reading our whole prompt in one parallel pass. But then when it's answering, giving us an output or answering our question, then it's answering one token at a time. And each token, it has to be weighed, and it's deciding which token to put next. So that process is slow, and in the AI world, slow means expensive, which is why like every provider, whether it's Claude, whether it's ChatGPT, it charges a lot more on output tokens than it charges on input tokens. The second is cache. To avoid recomputing the conversation at each step, the model is storing some of the key values and key tokens in its GPU memory. Like in a long chat, you will see you don't have to repeat the context over and over again. It's remembering the context. And that's why a longer context requires more tokens, because like they are basically storing bigger cache. Third is utilization. Like we can think of Ola or Uber. So a driver pays for a car no matter if there are passengers or no passengers, right? Similarly, you're paying for a GPU, whether you efficiently put multiple customers on one GPU or like just one customer. So the entire saving game is like, how do you maximize the usage? There is a reason why even like Claude or ChatGPT is a lot cheaper at non-peak times than at peak times, because like they are badging APIs at half the price at non-peak times. Last is hidden tokens. These are actually tokens that we don't look at. So whenever like we ask a question, we know exactly, okay, these are the number of input tokens we are giving. We know how long the question is. But behind there's a lot of data being generated that we can't see. Or if our context is not big enough, it's completing the context and all that. So those hidden tokens are also something that we are paying for. So if AI is hallucinating, then we can't control it, but like it's something that we still need to pay for. So, okay, coming back, to how pricing is working now. So if we zoom out a little bit, so pricing is not just coming up with a number. It's basically a risk sharing agreement between the company and the customers. So previously, we used to pay for software per license. So, like for instance, Adobe software, you could pay per license, per user, per month. It was clear. The costs were predictable. We knew at the beginning of the month that, okay, we're going to be paying $10 per month, $5 per month, and that's it. But in AI, using this model is dangerous because a heavy user of AI can be like paying using AI 10x and incurring 10x cost on our platform than a light user of AI. So in the AI world, what a lot of companies have shifted to is usage-based pricing. Usage-based pricing is like basically paying for tokens, paying for keys. So whatever you use per day, you pay accordingly. But the problem with this model is a lot of companies have like bill anxiety. For instance, they like a lot of companies now, Microsoft CEO recently came out. He's limiting the amount of like tokens that Microsoft employees can use. And why is that? Because AI is costing them a lot because you can't control. What if you have an intern that starts an agent and it's like running on loop overnight? It's going to bring a huge cost bill and there's nobody to control it. So now, like like right now, what they're using is, usage-based pricing, but every company is changing pricing every single like month. Salesforce, I think in the last year has changed its pricing 20 times to try and figure out, okay, what pricing can we use that customers also like and the company also likes. Lastly, it's outcome-based pricing. This is where we're trying to go. Outcome-based pricing is you only price for successful outcomes. So example, if there's a cybersecurity company, instead of charging like every single hour or every single day, they just charge when they avert a risk, like when they avert a cybersecurity attack successfully. So that is something we're still going towards, but that is difficult to implement because how are you going to figure out, okay, what do you measure? How do you measure success? How, like, cybersecurity companies have to monitor threats all the time. So if they only charge for successful threats that they averted, then how much should it cost to to charge based on that? Okay, so these are 4 AI companies. They are in the same. They're in the same sector. They are like all paying like they're all paying GPT prices. But the difference is in the way they're pricing. So, for instance, Chat GPT is pricing based on a freemium model. So, Chat GPT gives you a free tier so that they attract customers. And recently in the US, they've started showing ads. And this is very strange because the CEO, Sam Altman, he was always like against ads. He called ads the last resort. But AI economics like overruled that. AI is just so expensive to run in terms of compute that they had to resort to ads. Then next is Copilot. Initially, Copilot was using like flat seat pricing, but it was losing on average $20 per user per month. Some of the power users were like costing it $80, whereas it was only charging $20. So recently it's like pivoted to like a hybrid where it's like flat pricing plus variable pricing. Cursor is, I think, the most practical. It from the beginning only it has used a hybrid subscription plan where there is a base charge and then based on usage you pay more. Intercom Fin is an interesting company. So it's an AI company that basically helps in customer support, and that charges on outcome based. So only when a customer support ticket is successfully completed, that's when they charge for it. So all the big tech titles are facing the same GPU bills, but what we are seeing is the way their pricing is very different. The bets they're taking is different. Microsoft is still using licensing, and what it's betting is that it can increase the cost of a license faster then the faster than the cost of AI increases. So, for instance, in your Microsoft Suite, Word, and all this, Copilot is offered for free. And Copilot is offered for free, but it's like the first time in 12 years that Microsoft actually increased the price of buying that license. So the bet Microsoft is making is that it can charge an increased amount per license faster than like people get used to using AI. Second is most other companies have not taken this bet, but Microsoft can take it because it also owns the data infrastructure. So any efficiency that like AI companies create, ultimately Microsoft also benefits from it. Second is Salesforce. Salesforce is interesting because they have realized that digital labor is replacing what humans can do. So instead of just charging like for licensing and charging humans, they're actually charging for the work that's being done. So they're charging for the digital labor. They're treating digital labor as real labor. OpenAI is like using the classic, Google playbook. It basically is offering like a free tier, and it's thinking about monetization later. So like basically it offered ChatGPT services for free for the longest time so that customers just get used to using the product. And now when customers are already used to it, they're trying out new things like ads. I don't know about how it is in India, but like in the US, we have started looking at ads even on ChatGPT. Last is Google. So Google, it's very interesting because Google search, if you do now, there's actually a GPT that is giving you responses. Like Google search has an AI running behind it. So Google's bet is that, okay, we are going to give AI for free inside search so that they don't lose their search market share, so that they can protect ad revenue, because Google search gives Google a lot of ad revenue. So I have a question, and there's no right answer to this, but I'm curious, out of these four models that the different companies are using, which one do you think would last in the long run? Which one would you say is going to be the most successful in the long run? Can you type it out on chat, please? Anyone? There's no right answer. I'm just curious at what you think. Like out of these four models, which one do you think is going to like be the most profitable or like work out in the long run? Okay, I'm going to move on since there's no opinion. So this is a very useful framework to use when thinking about how to price your AI product. The y-axis over here shows how autonomous the AI is. Does it have a human inside the loop, or does it do the job itself? The x-axis shows how easy is it to attribute cost and outcome. So as we discussed earlier as well, um, the per seat license is the most predictable. Like it's like $500 per user or $10 per month. Oh, there are responses. So, yeah, thank you. Okay, so this is a good framework to use. So the per seat is what we used in SaaS. It's what Microsoft uses. It's predictable. But if you think about it, automation is low. Like if Copilot, they're offering Copilot for free with C-Suite. But how are we like how do we know if Copilot is working well? There is no way to measure. So as software engineers, it's very important to think about, okay, how are you going to tag all your resources? Because the x-axis over here is attribution. Attribution means that you can like tell your company, okay, how much is cost per customer, how much is cost per feature. That visibility needs to be there, and for that visibility to be there, it's very important to tag resources properly, to the telemetry part of it, tracking the cost properly. The x-axis is automation, like how automatically is the AI product running without human intervention. So companies like Salesforce, they are using usage-based, credit-based pricing because the AI agents are pretty much on its own automated. However, attribution is difficult. They don't know the cost per transaction or per interaction that the AI agent is doing. The ultimate goal that we should have is to go towards outcome based pricing, because that's the most transparent. People pay when the AI works like in a positive manner for them. If people are getting value for the product from the product, they pay for the value. The most important this is that we don't actually pick which quadrant we are going to price at. Based on our model capability, we move up. So we start at usage based, and as like if we are good at tagging resources and we know our cost, then we can easily implement outcome based. So it just depends on how automated the AI product is and how good the cost attribution is. Okay, so now I have a short question for you. Now that you've learned the framework, now it's time to use it. So if you're the CEO of Study Buddy AI, it's an AI tutor for engineering student. Your cost is 4 rupees per solved doubt. So which method would you use? How would you charge customers? Would you charge them just 199 per month and they can use unlimited? 5 rupees per doubt solved. 99 rupees per month plus 50 doubts, and then like $3 each if they are asking more than 3 rupees each if they're asking more than 50 doubts. Or would you just do it Google way, give it free and then sell ads? So which of these four methods would you use? There can be a fifth method also that might not be on the chart. Okay, 99 per month unlimited. So that is what we're used to right now. Most of us are like working based on that. But the correct answer is what Dr. Tasneem has written. I think now with outcome based pricing, that is where the market is heading to. Okay, so you'll be surprised, but like after working for Fortune 500 companies, what I've realized is that even billion-dollar AI companies cannot tell you what their customers are costing them, how much a feature is burning, or like what will be the cost next month. And why is it so hard? It's because the cloud bill arrives at an aggregate level. You know your compute, your network, your database. That is what finance receives. But then a lot of the infrastructure is shared infrastructure. So on one GPU, you'll have multiple customers, and that is done to save costs. So that something that is very important as engineers is like tagging those resources and making it clean. Revenue systems and cost systems are not talking to each other. And if pricing is just made on averages, the averages can be wrong and pricing can be wrong. So as engineers, you have a lot more control over how things are priced. And from day one, if you are able to tag every resource, every API call properly, then you're going to be helping not just engineering, but there's a bigger use. I know it's boring work, but the importance of it is like a lot bigger. So, okay, here is the engineering cost cutting toolkit that most of you will be interested in. So, there are 4 technical tricks that AI companies are using to cut cost. One is model routing. So, they are basically categorizing the questions that are coming in. And for the more difficult questions, they are using complex models, whereas the easier questions, they're using cheap models. Second is prompt caching. If 10,000 users are asking questions about the same document, then we don't have to reread the same document 10,000 times. Anthropic, OpenAI, both are offering like cached input tokens at 90% the discount. Third is distillation. And distillation is a slightly more difficult topic. So I'll let you like Google and learn more about it. But it's basically like making mini models that are learning from the big models so that using the mini models is cheaper. And lastly, it's badging. So it's like grouping requests. So all the like non-urgent tasks that can run at a one-time run, they are like implemented in the evening or something when AI costs are cheaper. So just to like give you more insight on how important cost engineering is, if you remember in 2015, in Jan 2015, DeepSeek, there was a Chinese company, DeepSeek, that claimed that it's figured out how to train really good AI models for like a fraction of the cost of like ChatGPT. And if you remember, like Nvidia lost a lot of market value in one day. That tells you like cost efficiency is like the number one important thing in AI right now. And like stock prices can fall, and if you figure out like how to build a model for like half the cost or like much cheaper than what we have in the market today. um and like there are literally teams called FinOps teams sitting in like AI and software companies that literally have just this job. Like they're supposed to make sure all the resources are tagged properly, and they are making sure that because like now AI is sold based on like capacity. So there is reserved, not AI, but like cloud. When you buy AWS storage, it's based on reserved capacity and on demand. So they are basically hired to just optimize that. So like it's called FinOps. You can like look at into it at a later date. So now I'm going to share something very ironic and paradoxical. So GPT 3.5 costs have actually collapsed drastically in the last 2 years. And like now you must be thinking, if costs are going down, then why are we talking about this presentation? Why are we like even talking about like cost being such an important thing? It's because we are using a lot more of it. Just because the cost per queries has decreased over time because of efficiencies that software engineers have carried out in the back end, it doesn't mean like overall cost has gone down. Overall cost has drastically increased because now we are using a lot more of it. The same thing happened with mobile data. Mobile data used to be very expensive 10 years ago. Today, mobile data is very cheap, but the usage has gone up so much that we are still paying more for it. So this is like pretty much towards the end of the presentation. And since I'm guessing most of you are engineers, so like what do you have in this? So first, like your code has PNL. It's important to realize that one engineering changing a default model or adding caching can save companies a lot more money than like a sales team can make in 1 quarter. Second is the best problems are solved at the interaction of AI and an industry. So whenever you try and build AI, try and figure out how you can build AI and apply it to an industry. There are a lot of people out there building like AI tools, but not many are building it to solve a problem in the industry. Third is obviously when building your projects, keep resource tagging clean, log token per request. And there are lots of careers out there that are very interesting and very niche. So try and figure those careers out. Okay, the last, I have this small quiz for all of you to see if you've understood my presentation. So you have to say if it's true or false. So the first question is, serving one extra AI user cost, like, is this true or false? Like one extra AI user costs the company almost nothing. Do you think this is true or this is false? Do you think it costs the company a lot more? False. Yes, that's. The second question is, flat unlimited pricing is risky when costs vary per user. Do you think flat unlimited pricing is risky when the costs vary per user? Or is it okay to use flat unlimited pricing? Is it true or false? The second one. True, correct. Thanks for answering. Yeah, you guys are correct. Then the third one is, if token prices fall 10x per year, then AI bills will fall too. Is that true? Like if token prices fall, false. Correct. Very good. And the last is, most AI companies know their cost per customer precisely. Is it true or false? False. Correct. So it's very shocking, but most AI companies do not know their cost. So thank you so much for the time today. If there's only 3 things that you remember today, it's that AI has marginal cost. It's not like software. Every question in AI, every additional customer, every additional question that you ask AI is costing money. unlike software where you just build one and then you scale. Second is price is a risk sharing agreement between the customers and yourself. So you want to use a pricing model that feels fair to the customer and to yourself. It covers your cost, whereas customers don't feel like they're paying for other people or they're not paying for what the value they're getting. Third is visibility wins. When you do your interviews, if you can talk about like parent, that would always gain you extra bonus points. So, with that, I come to the end of my presentation and I thank you all for listening. It was an amazing turnout, like 40 plus people. And if you have any questions, I would love to answer. I would love to hear.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. If any student has any question, they can raise your hands. On behalf of all the participants, I would like to express our sincere gratitude to our esteemed speaker for delivering such an insightful and engaging session. We truly appreciate the time and effort you dedicated to sharing your knowledge with us. Thank you once again for your excellent presentation and for making this session a memorable learning experience. We look forward to interacting with you again, ma'am, in the future. Thank you. An attendance link is shared in the chat.
I think, Razia ma'am, there is a question from Kishan. Ma'am, I'm in my third year of my college preparing for AIML. What path should I follow?
I think Miss Tasneem would be better to answer this question.
No, since you are in the industry, you can actually tell,
There are
practically, yeah.
practically there are a lot of practically there are lots of paths. So every single software engineer today needs to learn how to use AI, and like learning how to use AI effectively is very important. Like two people can be using AI, but one person can be using it 10x better than another person. So I think like just focus on like learning how to use AI. When you start recruiting for industry, your job will find you. So when I started like my role, I started in oil and gas. You won't believe it. 10 years ago, I was working in oil and gas. And from there, your interest will guide you. So AIML now has a lot of different roles. Like you can operate in like FinOps, which is like internal optimization. There's DevOps, there is like software engineering for AI products. So like what your exact title will be, it it will change. Even like I have pivoted from oil and gas to like software to AIML. So more important than what title you should chase, just chase on being an expert at using AI models. Like if you can build them, if you can build the models, even better. But like being an expert at using the AI tools out there is going to count a lot in the future.
Exactly. So, in the present scenario, individuals can only survive if they know if they're using AI. If they are not aware, I think many people are losing jobs. There are certain scenarios, but yeah, you need to be smart worker and you need to know AI. And of course, there are a lot of tools which can, make your work easier.
Yeah, and using AI is not just like using chat, it's using AI to automate things. So
Exactly.
like that requires doing courses, but everybody is doing courses. No, the best part is nobody is a master of AI because AI became big only like 2 years ago. It's like been around for 10 years, but it blew up 2 years ago. So everybody has on the same level playing field. Everybody is going online learning as much as possible every single day. So it's about how much hard work you can put in to learn and practice.
So, do you see like crossing 5 years? What's the future of AI? Because presently, each and any company you talk about, whether it's an industry or an oil or IT, they are using AIML. So, after 5 years, what do you feel? What can be the scenario be?
That's a very interesting question. I think 5 years AIML is here to stay. It's not a fad. I think 5 years later, our jobs will look a little different. We'll be building tools to automate stuff rather than like, or we'll be working on building AI. We will no longer be just using AI to solve problems. So I think, yeah, I think AI is here to stay. A lot of jobs are being replaced, but they're being replaced by better jobs. Like before, what we used to waste time doing, we are no longer wasting time doing that. Now we're thinking more about, okay, what are the world problems we can solve? What is the business context? As engineers, like very often we just think about, okay, oh, we have to make this product. Let's just make the product. But now, because of AI, making a product has become easy. Now, what's important is thinking about business context. Is it solving a problem? Do customers really want it? So yeah, things are going to change. We're still at an inflection point. If you go to any like startup or meetup now, more everybody's making like AI tools, but like not many people have gone towards like automating things for traditional industries, for like agriculture, for farming. So when AI like is used in that, um, in at large scale, I think we're going to see a different world.
Yeah, so it's going to be like the life of AI can be more than 10 years.
Yeah, AI is here to stay for sure. So it like the time you put into like learn AI and how to use AI effectively, it's going to count a lot.
Thank you for such an insightful session, Abha. It was wonderful, and coming up in the early in the morning and taking this session, we are really thankful to you and hope
No,
to
I'm
see you
thankful to
much
you.
more expert sessions from your sides in the coming future, so that our students can actually know what's happening in the industry, what's the present scenario. So that's really helpful to the engineering students.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this opportunity. Thank you for having me.
My
And
pleasure.
you've been super great, gracious. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks to all the participants. Please fill the attendance sheet and we'll be sharing the certificates soon. Thank you, Abba. Thank you to
Thank
all the
you.
students. Thank you, ma'am. Maniza, ma'am.